Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Gurudeva Ki Jai, Shri Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai, Shri Param Gurudeva Ki Jai, Jai Shri Bhakta Prabhupada Ki Jai, Jai Shri Gokshtas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai, Shri Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai, Sadhguru Swami Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Tai Gaur Premanande, Hari 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 Bo. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Gopamataji, for sharing very beautifully. Kirtan Prabhu, Tirtha, Kalindi, Jagadish Prabhu, thank you for sharing so sweetly yesterday and today. So not taking too long, I'll just speak for a few minutes. Gopamataji is sharing a very important principle for us about the weaving together of the moods of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada and our beloved Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, who are both our eternal shelters, our eternal Guru Varga, leading us to our eternal relationship with Shri Shri Radha Krishna and the land of Vrindavan. So in life we have each our own responsibilities, but for whom do we perform these responsibilities? Do we do it for ourselves? Or do we do it for someone we love? A lot of people out there in the world, they think, I should perform my duties, I should be a good person, but for whom? So our Gurudev would say, morality without love of God isn't real morality. He says we have some duty to our spiritual Father, our eternal beloved. That is morality, love. Without love, everything just becomes dry, painful, leads to suffering. Why? The energy of the soul and its conscious potential has to go somewhere. So we direct it in different areas. Desire, want, greed, lust. I think I'll be happy by enjoying this person and controlling them. I think I'll be happy by getting this position and being respected. I think I'll be happy by making money and having power and position and security. None of these can give happiness to the soul, because the soul's nature is to love and be loved. It's the nature of consciousness, searching for relationship. That's why the non-dual absolute truth appears in dual forms, Shri Radha, Shri Krishna. Eternally, they're present together. The divine feminine, the divine masculine, both in harmony of being. Why does Shri Radha perform all her activities? Because of her love. Why does Krishna perform all of his activities? Because of his love. So how can we develop bhakti? We think bhakti is an activity, a sadhana, practice. By practice we can never awaken bhakti. It's described, Koti Janma Jadi Shravana Kirtan, by millions and millions of lifetimes of hearing and chanting. This pure love cannot awaken of that effort alone. Therefore, that prem, or pure love, it's not awakened by sadhana, by effort. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem, that love of God is eternal. Sadhya Kabunai, it can't be achieved by your effort. Shravanadi Sudachitta, by hearing and so forth, gradually the consciousness is purified and love arises. So sadhana is very important, practice is very important. But sadhana also has an object and a subject. Nowadays it's very hard, because you could say, oh, where is Srila Prabhupada? Where is Srila Gurudev? How can we find someone like that? But you have to understand that sadhana without an object of your devotion will not lead you to any positive result. You have to offer your love somewhere spiritual. Otherwise your capacity and energy and desire for love will be perverted into all these different forms and cause so much suffering. Right? The perverted nature of love, looking for love in all the wrong places. I'll be wealthy, then people will love me. I'll be powerful, then people will love me. I'll give them things and they'll love me. I'll take care of families and they'll love me. We try and we try and we try. It's described to be like running after a mirage of water in the desert. We think it's water, and we run into a cactus. It's also described to be like a camel chewing on thorns, tasting its own blood. It thinks, I'm happy. So therefore, without love of God, we'll never be happy. Because that is our nature. Our nature is to love God. And yet here we are. Why are we here? We chose a different path. We chose to try to be God and to enjoy like God and to be loved without loving. We want to be loved. We don't know how to reciprocate. And what is our capacity to love? And how can we magnify our potential to love? Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Kabunai. That love of God is eternal, so until you realize it, you'll never be satisfied. Right? The Rolling Stones, they sing, I can't get no satisfaction. Why? Because you haven't realized your relationship with God. So you're looking everywhere. You're looking everywhere. This woman will satisfy me. This man will satisfy me. This career will satisfy me. Nowadays, people realizing, oh, these relationships that we find in this world aren't giving us satisfaction, so maybe I should just find my satisfaction in a career. Right? I need to be an independent woman and have a career and be self-maintained. And our gurus would say yes, because this world is mostly full of demonic people who want to control and exploit and enjoy you, consider you their property like cattle. Hey, why aren't you following what I said to do? You're my property, woman. Right? Someone who has such a conception is the nature of a demon, not a nature of a pure soul. Pure soul only loves God, and for any of those who they are related with, they show complete care and love and respect. The principle of Guru is someone who is a guide, bringing you to God and helping you realize your love and your relationship with God. So they have to be a shepherd, and that means sometimes protecting you from going astray and being misled, falling into a ditch or over a cliff. Oh, everyone's running this way, I should run that way also. So Guru principle has to guide, and sometimes guidance takes on two forms, chastisement and affection. Chastisement is also affection. But in material relationships, this kind of principle is perverted. I want to control. We should understand that until we learn to love God, we'll never be satisfied. We have some idea what it means to love, but it's very vague. Love means a relationship. So you say, I love God. What is your relationship with God? Have you realized God? Have you realized yourself? Unless you become yourself on a godly platform, how can you truly relate with God? You can't be a conditioned soul and purely relate with God. You have to be liberated. Agrahaya mukti. First mukti is needed. Agrahaya mukti tabe sarva bandhanas. Then all bondage is released. Tabe se hoite pare. Then you can become Sri Krishna Das. Das, servant of Sri Krishna. When I took the sannyas vows, and I was asked to speak a couple of days later, I made this point. We call ourselves servants of God. What does it mean to serve God? To serve God means to be in a relationship of love with God, as pleasing to Him. I spoke about this yesterday. All these principles we're applying to the ashram, you think it's in a general way, but really it's a way to access the highest reality of loving engagement. when we talk about anugati or guidance, when we talk about sharanagati or surrender, when we talk about all these things, we think it's just a material principle to help us get somewhere. No, it's an eternal principle of a loving relationship. So when we talk about being a servant of God, what does it mean? It means you understand your real nature, and you're existing in that real nature, and you're pleasing the object of your love, that's service. Therefore, service is the active element of love, and love is the internal ingredient of service. Love is the primary ingredient of service, and service is the primary active ingredient of love. And so, to be the servant of Krishna, to please Him, means according to our nature, and according to what pleases Him. Like Gopanandini Mataji described, Gurudev said, I'm going everywhere and I'm finding who are my people, right? Who are the maidservants of Srimati Radhika? And then generally I'm helping everyone. I'm there to help everyone. Swami Prabhupada's there to help everyone, to save the whole world. But Gurudev is also going and collecting his flowers. Why? Because a platform is needed. You need a fertile field. You need a fertile environment, like Gurudev emphasized, taking care of the children. Take care of the children. We often get lost in these fantastic ideas about conquest, and we forget the basic principles of life, which is love and care, service. Oh no, I'll go out and do this and do that. We neglect what's in our hand, we throw it in the rubbish, and then we go out and try to find love and affection elsewhere through our conquest. And people will love me because I'm saving them. No one will love you, right? It's easy to be a hero, but you can be a hero for some days, some years, and then you become a villain. We saw that. There's so many people who saved the world by the desire of Prabhupada continuing as his disciples. But afterwards, all of their bad activities were revealed, and they became the villain. Why? Because they didn't fully offer their love into spiritual engagement. And they considered themselves very elevated, but we're not even das. You're not even das. Agre hai mukti. First you must be liberated. All attachments are released. Bandhanas. Tabe se hoite pari. Then you can become Sri Krishna Das. So how to get mukti? Mukti hitvanyata rupena. Swarupena vyavastiti. Mukti, liberation, means achieving your swarup, your spiritual identity. Then you are Das. How are the cowherd boys Das? They please Krishna by wrestling with him and fighting. And they defeat him and say, now you must carry us on your shoulders. And so Krishna takes one of the boys on his shoulders and has to go for like a kilometer race. Why? They defeated him in wrestling. So some living entity can defeat God in a wrestling match? How? Only by the power of their love. That he willingly becomes defeated. Without even if he were to try to win, he couldn't win. Because he is always defeated and conquered by love. The love by which Mother Yashoda was able to bind him. And the love by which Radharani is able to bind him eternally without any rope or thread. He is always Radha Damodar, he is always bound by Radharani. So that principle of bhakti, or love, is the most essential ingredient in our spiritual life. How can we get to that stage of actually being das? First you have to meditate on your position. Gurudev said, know where you're at. So that's why take your pulse. Or have someone who can take your pulse for you. That's why guidance is important. If I'm not liberated, I should be humble. Oftentimes in religious organizations, a lot of the problems stem from lack of humility, considering yourself higher than you are, and then demanding and desiring worship from others, to be like God, to be like Guru, instead of just being a humble aspirant, spiritual practitioner, developing your love. How do the gopis offer their service to Krishna? By offering their entire selves. Ekadashi, we follow this special day of Ekadashi for Vaishnavas. Why? Some people fast on Panchami, some people fast on Mangalvar, Budvar, for this day, for that day. But we fast on Ekadashi. Why? Ekadashi is the day where we offer our 11 senses to Krishna. Hrishikena Hrishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate. Seva is bhakti. And seva is prem, love. Right? The ingredient of service is love. And the active ingredient of love is service. So how do you do seva with all your 11 senses? Only the Braja Gopis can do that. That's why they're considered the topmost devotees of the Lord. They can offer themselves 100%. Madhu Yashoda, Nanda Baba, the cowherd boys, the cows, there's some... They can go to a certain point and then to pull back. Why? Why is that the highest expression of love? Because the highest expression of love is the deepest sense of intimacy in a relationship. Complete, such a partnership that you become unaware of your own identity separate from the identity of your beloved. Right? Because your consciousness is completely absorbed in the object of your love and how to please them. That is Krishna consciousness in its purest form, in its highest form. Manmana bhava mad bhakto, I am yours. My mind is always offered to you. That is exemplified by the Braja Gopis, cowherd damsels of Braj, and of all the gopis, the root, the source of everything, all expansions of all energy, the fountainhead of the energy of the Lord is Srimati Radhika. And so to serve her is to come into the ultimate shelter, and the highest sense of intimacy that is possible with the Supreme Lord and His eternal beloved. There's nothing closer to God than you can get than the servant of Srimati Radhika. It's not possible. Why? You can have your own relationship with God, but that's just you and Him. But what about His dear most beloved, who is His eternal counterpart? Right, talking about blending Prabhupada and Gurudev. What about the moods of Radha and Krishna? How can you take Krishna separate, away from Radha? They're eternally the one. How can you separate them? You cannot separate Radha and Krishna. If you try, then even if He's with you, He's thinking of her. This is the secret. He'll be with the cowherd boys, he'll be with his parents, but He's thinking of her, because that is the nature of love. So the best way to be with Him is to serve under her, and then when you become pure Krishna consciousness, who has Krishna consciousness? We always approach spiritual life as the subject. And that's natural because we're individual souls with our own conscious experience. But as we develop more and more in spiritual life, we'll develop the consciousness of taking shelter of our shelter, ashray, and vishai. Vishai is Krishna, ashray is Sri Radha. It means the shelter and the repository, the object of love. So Krishna consciousness, we should think, who is Krishna conscious? The most, the deepest, the most intimate, that is Sri Radha. So if we are absorbed in her shelter, of her guidance, then all of her experience of love for Krishna automatically reflects upon our own spiritual form, because we're completely tadatmika, one-pointed. And so when then all of her experiences of love, all of her pain and sorrow and ecstasies, which is all ecstasy, right? Because in pure love, the pain you experience in love is blissful. The sorrow you experience in love is like drinking the sweetest thing you can imagine, but it's very hot. So it's burning your throat also. But it's blissful, right? You see in this world also, the pain of separation. It's such an intense feeling. But if you actually love someone, that separation from them, if it's based on love, is also very sweet. Especially when it leads you to reunion. That's why they say in this world, one of the Vritrasura, he was a great devotee, but by a curse he became like a demon, a very powerful titan who was attacking all the demigods. But when he was being killed, it's a very fantastic story. So in this series we also tell very interesting stories that help you develop and gain insight into how to advance in spiritual life. He was so colossal and giant, but he was a devotee in his heart. He loved God, but by some mistake he'd been cursed to take on this form of a great titan. He was disturbing everyone. It took then the demigod Indra, the god of thunder. He had to fashion a weapon from the bones of this great sage who had been doing austerities for hundreds of thousands of years. It's a fantastic, crazy story. We won't get into that story right now. But it took 1 year to cut off his head. That was the only way they were going to defeat him. For 1 year they were cutting off his head with this thunderbolt weapon. Imagine. And what was he doing? He was praying to God. And he gave 3 core concepts of love for God in a way that's relatable in this world. He said, imagine a little baby bird that doesn't even have its eyes open. And it's completely dependent upon its mother. Its mother goes and collects some food, chews it up, and then puts it in the mouth of the baby bird. And then the baby bird has nourishment. And sometimes when the mother's away, the baby bird is thinking, oh, when will my mother come home? When will my mother come home? It doesn't even have the words with which to convey its emotion. That's why they say love is beyond all language. Love has no language. Love expresses itself in all language. Right? With the first words a child will say, Mama, Papa, Daddy, Mata, Pita. But how intimate is that relationship if you think about it? The mother bird collects and chews the food and gives it in the mouth. How sweet. But then it's described even that relationship has some selfish interest. The mother will nourish me. Then the next example is given of a baby calf and its mother. First 2 examples are based on motherhood and this mood of parental affection and understanding God as our ultimate source of nourishment. Right? Like a blind bird, we understand that we cannot see, we have no ability to maintain ourselves, and we're just sitting or moving about in this world. I said the soul is not active until it's enlightened. It's just a passive observer, watching the cycle of karma be enacted and reenacted, and this play of life go over and over and over again, and we're just sitting there in the witness box. But we're so identified with the body and mind that we experience all the pain of the body and the mind and all the joy of the body and mind. So we think, I'll do this drug and it'll make me happy. I'll have this affair and it'll make me happy. I'll make this money and I'll do something that'll make me happy, because we're attached to the body and the senses and the mind. But we're just a witness, passive. Like God is a witness, we are a witness. We're doing activities. But really, gunai prakriti sarvasa, the modes of nature are doing everything. We're observing, trapped in the wheel of samsara. Yantra Rudrani Maya. So we are like the bird until we develop attachment to God, and that God is our only nourisher. How can He give us His food? That He Himself tastes. That mood of a disciple, right? If you can imagine that mood in your practical life. Because all of these things, I'll tell you the difference between reading scripture without relationship and with relationship. When you read it with relationship, everything clicks in place at once. And relationship through experience, so I'm telling you this, the experience of a disciple and a sevak. Sevak in this world is the most intimate way of, you could say, embodying the mood of being a maidservant of Srimati Radhika to someone who is her maidservant in this world, teaching, to serve them, and then to try to understand what it means to reflect and to serve the desires of someone else in their love for God. How to be supportive in a supportive role. Right? We all want to either be God or be goddess. But how can we become in a supportive role of a loving servant, which is our nature? So as a sevak, you get the most intimacy. So much so that her own experience of love for Krishna, her moods reflect, and also her experience directly reflects upon your swarup. How intimate is that? But how are we going to get to that stage? First, you have to become like this baby bird. No eyes to see. This is also described to be like a bird called the Chataka bird. We've been telling some bird stories recently. Right? Maybe, I don't know if you were here for one of these bird stories, I'll recap it also. Beautiful creatures, birds, right? They're flying, and we look, oh, humanity is thinking of the birds and trying to become like birds. We'll make planes. We'll fly. Right? We'll jump out of planes and we'll fly for a few minutes. The Chataka bird is a bird that waits, waits, and waits. It gets thirsty and its throat gets dry, but it waits. And its friends, the other species of birds, the sparrows, the pigeons, they say, "Oh, Chataka, look, there's a lake there, go drink water there. There's a pond there, go drink water there. Why are you waiting and waiting and waiting? What are you waiting for? Why don't you drink? You're going to die of thirst." He said, "No, I'm waiting. You can't understand. You don't know what is love. Love is one-pointed. Love is one-pointed. How can you have love for many? That's why in this world you see so many fights and quarrels, love triangles. You have to pick. Who do you really love? Nowadays people say, polyamory, you can love everyone. Enjoy with everyone. No. The nature of the soul's love is one-pointed to God. And God has to love everyone, because we're all fragmented parts and parcels of God. So it's His nature to love everyone. So ultimate surrender is to accept that we love Him and He loves us all. So we can't have His exclusive love. And yet, if we're serving under the guidance of His dear most beloved, Sri Radha, then if you're separate from her, then whenever you're experiencing relationship with God, He's always thinking of her. He's also thinking, oh, very nice, you're very sweet, He's giving you affection. In the story of the Rasa dance, Krishna's dance of love, He's dancing with all the gopis. I think, I'm just with Krishna. He's dancing with me. And He is sweetly wiping their perspiration, embracing them, speaking tenderly. But yet as soon as Sri Radha left, He left. Why? The purpose of it all stopped. She was His reason to do it all, because they were all her expansions ultimately, of her energy. And they weren't going to be able to understand Him really unless they took shelter of her. Why? Because that is where His love is ultimately present. That's why Krishna says, ultimately I'm one-pointed also. Ultimately, He has this love foremost for Sri Radha. And whenever He is with any other devotee, He only sees her love present in them, in Vatsalya Ras, in Dasya Ras, in Sakya Ras, as a friend, as a parent, as a servant. Radharani is described to be like the sun of divine love. Krishna is the sun, but the love, that is Sri Radha. And so her love is radiating within all beings, and the fact that we can conceive of the concept of love is because that love, that spark of love coming from the supreme source of that feminine principle of Godhead, that is reflecting within us. So how can we avoid her? Therefore we say, Atapa rohita surai nahi jani. You're trying to go to the sun without taking shelter of the rays of the sun. You're trying to see without light. How can you see without light? So Sri Radha, she is the energy of Krishna, by which we can see the energetic Sri Krishna. She is the light of the fire, by which you can see the fire. She is the light of the sun, by which you can see the sun. That's what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying. She is the heat. She is the warmth. So like a Chataka bird, said, I will only take from one source. It's called Swati Nakshatra. It's a special constellation that comes every so often. And when it rains during that constellation, then it will drink water. So like the bird who's only chewing the food that the mother has already chewed and receiving that, oh, then we are a disciple. Right? This is what it means to follow bhakti. Bhakti by your own effort, you'll never get this pure love. Koti janma shravana kirtan, 10 million lifetimes of your own effort, you'll never get pure love of God. Love comes from love. Bhakti comes from bhakti. Bhaktistu bhagavad bhakta sangena parijayate. Bhaktistu bhagavad bhakta. Bhakti comes from someone, love for God comes from someone who purely loves God. And God is so far beyond your sense of reality that it's just an idea. But the principle of Guru and Vaishnava is they are real. They are substance. Like you're describing, you can actually hold the beads. You can actually worship Tulasi. You can go to Giriraj. You can offer pranam to Jamuna. you can meet sadhus. And if you offer your love at their lotus feet, and those who have pure love for God, they can take that principle and they can shelter you. Then the principle of Guru is like the mother. Therefore, these first two examples talks about the mother. The cow giving milk to the calf, and the mother bird chewing the food and giving it to the baby bird. That's why we hear Harikatha. That's why if you're in a close dynamic relationship with Vaishnavas, more important than personal study is to hear, because that is pre-digested for you. You can read 1,000 Puranas, 1,000 Upanishads, 1,000 epics. The message is in the scripture, but it's not going to become real for you unless it's in a relationship with someone. Right? An affectionate relationship. That's why we said we should be in sadhu sangha that is affectionate towards us, giving us shelter and more advanced. And we should hear. Therefore, hearing Harikatha, Shravanadi Sudachitta, by hearing, the consciousness is cleansed and the reality of love is awakened and experienced. So it's a process of hearing. Our parampara, our lineage is based on a process of hearing. It's not the Path parampara, the study parampara. Why? When Mahaprabhu was traveling and preaching Varanasi, they said, you should just study. He said, no, I hear and I sing and I take shelter. So love comes from love. Love for God comes from someone who loves God, but it's your principle to love. Therefore, without developing your eternal love, you'll never be happy. How are you going to develop that love? Without developing love for someone that you can tangibly experience and serve and relate with. Right? Therefore, 5 primary limbs are described for the spiritual practitioner by our Rupa Goswami, like our Adi Kavi, original poet, follower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sadhu Sangha, associate with devotees, more advanced than yourself. Nam Kirtan, what does it mean to be more advanced? We're talking about being a follower. In the spiritual world, we have to follow some associate of Krishna. That associate of Krishna has to bless us with their pure love, seeing our effort and our desire and our greed. They'll bless us with that ray of light called bhav, pure ecstatic emotion. Your specific relationship with God, that is your bhav. Sthayi bhav. What is your permanent relationship with God and your emotion and your love? That associate who can see that in you can bless you to realize it by mercy. Kripa siddhi, mercy, perfection. By your effort, you can get mercy. So that particular associate of Krishna must grant you that blessing. Therefore, you must be under guidance. Without guidance, you can never receive that blessing. And in the spiritual world, you'll always be under someone's guidance. How are you going to directly be like Gopa Mataji is explaining with Gurudev? Gurudev wanted to see that you were in a mood of guidance, because this is a practice for you to enter the spiritual world and be prepared for that divine life. Therefore, guidance is essential. But guidance means by love. Forcefully being under guidance is a kind of practice called Hatha Yoga, forceful. It doesn't last. Sages do meditation for 10,000 years, but without love and shelter, their attraction goes to any other person. They fall down. Great Mayavadis and personalists go so high up, and then they fall down. Why? You didn't find a place to offer your love and devotion. You didn't become like the baby bird. Then the next example, the calf. The calf only takes mother from milk's mother from the milk from the mother's milk, until it becomes grown up. Then, I'll try the grass. I'll be independent. First, it touches the grass and it cuts its lips. It's so soft. But snigdashya shishya means someone who's an affectionate, object of affection, disciple. Then they receive all the wealth of the scriptures through the embodiment of the scriptures, which is the personality of the Guru. Therefore, Krishna says this, Sarva Upanishad Ghava Dagda Gopala Nandana. Krishna was the Guru of Arjuna, therefore Krishna is our original Guru. And all of the Upanishads came in the form of a cow. And Krishna, as the cowherd, milked the cow. But the cow didn't give milk until there was a calf. When there's someone who wants to hear sincerely, with affection, with trust and faith, then the milk flows. And the third example given is directly about our relationship with God. All these are related to God, because Guru is someone who takes you to God. Guru is not a cloud obscuring the sun. Guru is a ray of light taking you to the sun. So therefore, Vritrasura said, like a lover is waiting for her beloved to come home, in the same way you should think of God. Why? In this world, that is the purest form of attraction. Right? The calf is thinking about milk. The baby bird is thinking about food and nourishment. The lover is only thinking about her beloved. She's not waiting for her beloved to come home and feed her. She's waiting for her beloved to come home and embrace her with affection. This kind of one-pointed absorption in love is the mood that we develop in this world for God. Because by that, it will pull us out of samsara. So Guru teaches us how to offer our love to God, but we have to offer it to devotees. Krishna says, you are not my devotee if you are my devotee. If you declare yourself to be my devotee, you are not my devotee. You must become the devotee of my devotee to be my devotee. But we offer our love to Vaishnava or to Guru in this kind of affectionate mood, like a parent. That's why Guru is described to be like father, and Sastra or the scripture or Gayatri is described to be like mother. So learn to offer your love in that way to the principle of Guru, and then they guide you how to develop your pure love for God. Because that's why it's described Shakshad Haritvena Samasta Sastre. Understand how to offer your love to someone who's a messenger of that person and will bring you to that person. So real Guru is someone who offers their love to God, because otherwise they'll take your love for themselves, because they're needy. So this is a false Guru. Someone who's not liberated or not striving to be liberated in their eternal relationship with God, they're not a bona fide Guru. Right? They may not have to, like Srila Bhakti Srila Maharaj would say, maybe they don't have 2 feet in the spiritual world. They have 1 foot, or they're walking forward very quickly and trying to take you along with them. Right? They're striving forward. So that means they're loving God, then pure Guru. Or they're trying their best to love God, then bona fide Guru. Right? And they're under guidance of someone who purely loves God, then they're bona fide Guru. And they lead you towards that path. So this is what we are trying to follow here. So about sadhana practice, the best practice is developing some bandha relationship. Like all these 3 examples, it's based on relationship. The baby bird, the baby calf, and the beloved, the lover. It's all based on relationship. So that's why I explained last night. Service done without relationship doesn't give you sweetness, it's just a karma. It's just an activity. Seva with sambandha becomes real seva, because it's pleasing the object of your love. That is seva. So how can you be claiming to do seva if you're not even thinking, I'm trying to please someone? God, how are we going to sit directly in front of God? You have to sit in your place, according to your nature. So you have to go through this channel, and this channel is so sweet, because then you get the remnants. Right? Another bird story, Sukadeva Goswami. He tasted the mango, and then the flavor of the mango enhanced, became more sweet. Then the Srimad Bhagavatam is present. Right? So this is what we're trying to follow here, with determination. Sambandha, how to develop a mood of loving relationship. That is sadhu sangha. Sangha means attachment. Your attachment has to go somewhere. You'll be attached to this world, or people in this world, or you'll be attached to God and people related to God. That is sadhu sangha, attachment. That is association. Sadhu sangha, sambandha, seva. How are you going to reach that sambandha? Sharanagati, surrender. That Sharanagati, surrender, is the first principle and the last principle. Why? Ashlishya vapadaratam pinastu mama darshanam marmahatang kurotu vayatata vidadhatu lampatomat prananatastam. Evanapara. Oh God, I am yours. Surrender to you. However you like to treat me, whether you want to embrace me or reject me, I am yours, I am yours, I am yours. I surrender unto you. So that's why when we chant the Mahamantra, I'm emphasizing the meditation while chanting is I am yours. To who? When we chant Hare, that is the name for Shri Radha, I am yours. Tavevasmi, tavevasmi, najivami tayavina. I am yours, and no one but you. Knowing this, oh Devi, please accept me as your own. Then Krishna is yours. And he is therefore ours. He is ours. He is mine, means he is yours. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. This is the mantra that is the blended reality of Radha and Krishna and all their associates together. Hare means Radha and all their associates. That means all the jivas can get shelter at the lotus feet of Shri Radha. And then they can understand their relationship with Krishna, whether they're in Sakya Ras as a friend, whether they're in Vatsalya Ras as a parental figure, Dasya Ras in the mood of loving service, whatever their relationship with is, without the blessing of Shri Radha, you cannot achieve that Swarup Siddhi. Her blessing is required in our line. This is our meditation. So we're offering our love to our Guru Pada Padma and to Vaishnavas, and praying for their shelter to realize this. I wanted to read this. I wrote a short poem. Since it's the first day of the year, we can extend our program a little bit. We should think that this is our daily program. Everything is supportive of hearing from those with relationship and developing relationship. All of our daily activities are there to create facility for hearing. That's why it's all there. Why do we maintain the temple? Why do we collect? Why do we do anything? Just to maintain a facility where there's respect for hearing from those who have a relationship with God or have developing their love for God. That's the purpose of the temple. That's the purpose of all the activities. Without the process of hearing, Harikatha and Sadhu Sangha, the purpose of the temple, all the activities go in vain. Because how else are we going to develop relationship with God? Here, opening on a random page. How to make relation with Sri Guru. The disciple's spiritual relationship with Sri Guru is established by serving Guru. The most important service to Guru is following his instructions by chanting Harinam, and the Guru mantra is given by him. That's why I gave an hour explanation to our families that came about how to develop how do I develop my relation with Gurudev? I said, Gurudev gave you the recipe. Oh, sometimes we can't do Mangal Arati and Evening Arati, we're trying so much. I said, you're trying too much. Try less. That's what I told you last night. Seva becomes busy work without relationship, sambandha. So focus on your relationship. Mantra and Harinam is to focus on your relationship with Guru. Hare Krishna, Guru Mantra. This is develop and focus on your relationship. This can be done in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, like transcendental meditation, what? What does it take, 10, 15 minutes? Twice a day. So that is the same thing we say. Real transcendental meditation, 10, 15 minutes a day, focus on your relationship with Guru and developing your relationship to God. 10 minutes morning, 10 minutes evening. Those 20 minutes will save your life. Everything else is to facilitate those 20 minutes. Why? You meditate on giving them a seat, offering them flowers, offering them something sweet, some food stuff, some expression of your love, speaking sweet words, asking something. But first, service. Pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya. Guru gives Guru mantras. Guru's spiritual form and service to Krishna is hidden within the Guru mantra. Therefore, along with giving the Harinam mantra, Guru gives the Guru mantra. By proper chanting of the Guru mantra with a fixed mind, spiritual relationship with the spiritual master will develop, and one will realize his own as well as his Guru's spiritual form. Acceptance of Guru is made successful only when the spiritual relationship with him is realized, and one serves Radha Krishna under guidance of Guru in the transcendental world. I opened this up randomly, but this has been my meditation for the last month, since taking sannyas. I opened up this, I'm looking for the last, at the end of the class, I'm looking for a specific page. But now I'm reading you this paragraph, that's exactly the point. How to develop your relationship with God. Why is it Guru mantra, not God mantra? You have to have a relationship with Krishna through one of his associates. Then they can give you that relationship. So even within this introduction of this book, everything is present. Right? Like the first verse of Shastakam, everything is present. So the introduction, all of the teaching is present in these introductions. So this is Srila Gurudev's darshan. My whole life I'm trying to serve Sri Guru Darshan. Why? I spent 5 years compiling, translating, editing, putting together Prabhuji's dictations, his katha from 10 years. Anything he'd ever said about Gurudev. Listen, find it. Oh, one sentence is said about Gurudev in one class. That's what I would do. I'd have my computer, and for 5-6 years I did this. He would be talking about any book, but then he'd say like 2 sentences about Gurudev. Separate folder. Oh, he said something about Gurudev. Oh, let's ask him for more details. Let's get the story. So this book is not complete. You should think like Ramayana. In this world we have a certain amount of verses of Ramayana. In the heavenly world more verses. In the spiritual world more. So Guru Darshan is not complete. Why? The story of Guru is never finished. Why? Because he's eternal. And he's eternally performing his pastimes. So Guru Darshan, this is a book that is a portal to a relationship with Gurudev. That will grant you access into a never-ending, blissful, dynamic experience of relationship with God and Guru. So that's why it's so special. Why? We're continuing through all these books we're publishing. Hindi to English. What did he say in this book in the end, I put all like excerpts of his tours. Oh, he went there and he said this. But now we're doing not the excerpts, we're doing every single recorded talk. Davin is typing, every single talk. Why? How are we going to develop our love for God without developing love for someone he sent? That's why Christ said, you cannot go to the Father but through me. You must have a Guru. You cannot access the Father but through the Son. So, in Christ's path, you have to accept Christ. That means it's not broken chain, it continues. Right? You have to find a living representative and take shelter and develop attachment there and go upward. Krishna says the same thing. Tadvidi pranipatini. You want to know the truth, take shelter of someone who's related to someone who knows the truth, or who himself knows the truth. So this Guru Darshan, we're continuing. This Guru Darshan will be how many volumes long? About 300 volumes long. Because now we're doing, when he came back from the West, he said, oh, I went to America, and I went there, and I went there, and then I did this. Right? And he spoke in Hindi to English, and you read it. Vrindavan's reading every day, and it's just blowing his mind. Wow, he said this, it's so sweet. When you do anything with relationship, it immediately clicks. Without relationship, it's just looking at something from a far distance, trying to analyze, interpret an abstract painting. But imagine you're the best friend of the painter, and he explained it to you for months. Right? So Guru Mantra is meant to reveal the Swarup of Guru and your relationship and your Swarup, because otherwise how are you going to serve God without your spiritual form? So that's the reality of why we chant Guru Mantra. So this process is given at different stages of spiritual life, different levels of initiation. Sannyasa is the last initiation. Right? It's not an external order. It's an internal order. What is the order? How to follow that line of anugatya. How to follow that guidance. And then we do our service in this world. We take up our responsibilities. So I was thinking when you were speaking, Gopal Mataji, that we have to take up our duties in life. Sometimes we have to put our battle armor on and go out and fight. What does that mean? Fix things. And things are broken. We have to fix them and repair and build and work. Hard work. Right? This is our principle. But without sweetness and sambandha, we cannot perform this. We'll only be dry, and we'll only do it for material things. That's why Gurudev said, I'm collecting flowers. Saving the world can easily lead to us becoming the villain if we're not doing it with the right intention. I will save the world. Don't you know I'm trying to save you? Worship me. Right? But we're not saving anyone because we're not taking anyone to God. We're trying to enjoy them and be their savior. How can we save someone when we ourselves are not saved? If we do not know our spiritual relationship with God, how can we claim to give someone else their spiritual relationship with God? So saving the world is a fool's errand for someone not enlightened. We can assist those who are enlightened, but we cannot be a dam that stops the flow. That's what many leaders were to Srila Gurudev. Create a dam. Gurudev cannot come and see these people. Why? An enlightened, pure devotee cannot meet with our followers. because they will take away our worship and respect, because they are the sun and we are a bulb. So this is the danger of saving the world. Save yourself. How do you save yourself? Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Sastra Koi, Labha Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. Associate with devotees, this will lead to all perfection. Save yourself. Then you can assist those who are actually saving others. Unless you are saved, that's why our Gurudev would say you are a patient in the hospital. If a patient considers themselves a doctor and they want to go perform surgery, oh, you need brain surgery, come into my room, I am Guru. Right? Therefore, we preach that we are patients. And you can be a patient like us. And we can take you to our doctors. And we can help save your soul. But we are not the saviors. This is the danger. Becoming Christ, not following Christ. Right? I am supposed to be the disciple of Christ, so I must imitate his nature. Unless you're Christ, how can you pretend to be? So therefore you be in the line. Be a supporter. Be supportive. That is our aspiration, to be in that supportive role eternally to Sri Radha and to Sri Krishna. That's how we can serve. So this is a very nice time here for our meditation together. Hearing Harikatha, sharing with each other, this is the highest meditation in this age. Because it helps the consciousness becomes aligned in its path that will lead it to perfection. So therefore we're on the path of hearing. So everything in the temple is there to support and serve hearing from those we can develop attachment to, who are themselves attached all the way to Sri Krishna. Then we can make advancement. I will sit in my room and chant all day and night. Without attachment and relationship, we'll never make advancement. So this is our prayer. So for the next few weeks, we'll continue in this course of hearing about the story of our gurus and trying to develop a relationship. Hare Krishna.